The Arctic Discovery. Dr. Naomi Rhodes pressed her hand against the reinforced glass of the research station's window, watching as another storm rolled across the endless white expanse. The Greenland ice sheet stretched before her like a blank canvas, but she knew better. Beneath those layers of ancient ice lay secrets that could rewrite human history. Dr. Rhodes? Raj Patel's voice crackled through her earpiece. You might want to see this. Naomi turned from the window, her heart quickening. Raj wasn't one for dramatic announcements. As the team's lead geologist, he preferred hard data to speculation. What have you found? The ground-penetrating radar picked up something at 200 meters. It's... He paused, unusual for his typically precise manner of speaking. Well, you should see for yourself. The monitoring station was a maze of corridors and equipment, but Naomi navigated it with practiced ease. She found Raj hunched over his workstation, the blue light from multiple screens casting shadows across his face. Dr. Yuki Tanaka, their quantum physicist, stood beside him, her usually calm demeanor disturbed by whatever was on the screen. Look at these readings, Raj said, pointing to a complex wave pattern. We've never seen anything like it. The crystalline structure, the energy signature, it's not natural. Naomi leaned closer, studying the data. The object appeared to be a perfect dodecahedron, its faces smooth and unmarred by time. More incredibly, it was emanating a faint but steady energy signature. How old? She asked, though she already suspected the answer would challenge everything they thought they knew. Yuki spoke up, her voice quiet but firm. Initial dating puts it at approximately 1,000 years. But... She hesitated, the energy signature suggests it's still active. Active? Naomi straightened, her mind racing. That's impossible. Nothing could maintain power for that long under these conditions. Nothing we know of, Raj corrected. But look at this. He pulled up another screen showing a thermal image. In the center of the structure was a heat signature, faint but unmistakable. It was roughly humanoid in shape. We need to get down there, Naomi said, already reaching for her tablet to begin preparation protocols. Assemble the team. And get Dar. Benjamin Walsh on the line, will need his expertise in xenobiology. Within hours, their extraction team was assembled. Besides Naomi, Raj, and Yuki, they brought in Dr. Walsh, who had arrived via emergency transport, looking disheveled but alert. The fourth member of their core team was Dr. Marcus Rivera, their advanced systems specialist. As they descended through the carefully drilled shaft, Naomi couldn't shake the feeling that they were about to cross a threshold from which there would be no return. The ice walls glowed with an eerie blue light from their equipment, and the only sound was the whir of their descent platform and their own controlled breathing. Approaching target depth, Marcus announced, his fingers dancing across the control panel. 200 meters in 3, 2, 1. The platform came to a smooth stop, and before them was a sight that made Naomi's scientific mind struggle to find rational explanations. The crystalline structure was partially exposed, their drilling having cleared away millennia of ice. It seemed to pulse with an inner light, its surface neither reflecting nor absorbing the team's powerful lamps. My God, Benjamin whispered, adjusting his glasses. It's beautiful. Yuki's instruments were already taking readings. The energy signature is stronger here. And there's something else. She frowned at her device. It's like it's responding to our presence. As if on cue, the surface of the structure began to shift, patterns of light racing across its faces like liquid lightning. Naomi stepped forward, her hand outstretched, but Marcus caught her arm. We should establish a containment protocol first, he warned. We have no idea what we're dealing with. Agreed, Raj said, already setting up their mobile lab. We need to dash. He was cut off by a sound that seemed to bypass their ears and resonate directly in their minds, a high, clear note that made the ice around them vibrate in sympathy. The crystalline structure's surface became transparent, revealing what lay within. A woman floated in what appeared to be liquid light. Her features were almost human, but not quite. Her skin had a slight iridescent quality, and her hair moved as if suspended in water despite being completely encased. Her eyes were closed, but as they watched in stunned silence, her fingers twitched. "She's alive," Benjamin breathed, his instruments confirming what seemed impossible. "After all this time, she's actually alive." The woman's eyes snapped open, revealing irises that shifted color like the aurora borealis. Her gaze fixed directly on Naomi, and in that moment, Dr. Rhodes knew that everything humanity thought they knew about their place in the universe was about to change. The structure's surface rippled, and a voice echoed in their minds, clear as crystal but carrying the weight of centuries: "The awakening begins." Awakening. The crystalline structure pulsed with increasing intensity, its light casting strange shadows across the ice cavern. Dr. Naomi Rhodes and her team stood transfixed as the alien woman's consciousness seemed to ripple outward, touching their minds with gentle but insistent pressure. Marcus Rivera's hands flew across his monitoring equipment. "Energy readings are off the charts. Whatever stasis field was holding her is dissipating rapidly. Everyone back, Dr. Benjamin Walsh ordered, his xenobiologist's instincts kicking in. "We need to establish a quarantine zone immediately." But before they could move, the structure's surface liquefied completely. The alien woman floated forward, suspended in a bubble of what looked like liquid starlight. Her feet touched the ice with impossible grace, and the bubble burst into a shower of luminescent droplets that evaporated before hitting the ground. She stood before them, tall and otherworldly. Her skin shimmed with subtle patterns that shifted like oil on water, and her hair, now free from the stasis field, floated as if she were underwater. When she opened her mouth to speak, her voice was like music given form. "I am Lysandra," she said, the words perfectly formed despite their alien origin. "Your language. I gathered it while you spoke. Fascinating how it has evolved." Naomi stepped forward, her scientific curiosity overriding her caution. "You understand English? How is that possible?" Lysandra tilted her head, the movement too smooth to be human. "Your minds are open books to my kind. We're the Asterians. Telepathic adaptation was essential for our role as guardians." "Guardians?" Raj asked, his geologist's precision seeking concrete facts. "Guardians of what?" A shadow passed across Lysandra's ethereal features. "Of time itself. Of the barriers between what should be and what must never come to pass." She turned to face each team member in turn, her color-shifting eyes seeming to peer into their very souls. "But something went wrong. The others, they should have awakened me centuries ago." Dr. Yuki Tanaka consulted her readings. "The energy signature from your stasis chamber, it's unlike anything we've ever encountered. How did you maintain power for 1,000 years?" "Power?" Lysandra's laugh was like wind chimes in a breeze. "Your understanding of energy is still so linear. We learned to harness the quantum foam itself, the very fabric of spacetime. The chamber didn't need power, it existed in a fold between moments." Marcus whistled low. That's beyond theoretical physics. We've only just begun to understand quantum entanglement." "You are young," Lysandra said, not unkindly. "Your species has barely begun to crawl out of its cradle. But perhaps that is why." She stopped suddenly, her expression becoming urgent. "What year is it?" "Precisely." 2024, Naomi answered. "March 20th. Lysandra's face drained of color, her bioluminescent patterns flickering erratically. No, it's too late. The alignment is almost complete." "What alignment?" Benjamin asked, his medical scanner detecting sudden changes in her physiological readings. "What's wrong?" "The Great Confluence," Lysandra said, her voice tight with tension. "When the barriers between dimensions grow thin. We were supposed to prevent. She turned to the crystalline structure, which had begun to pulse with a deep, ominous red light. They're coming. The ice beneath their feet trembled. Raja's seismic monitors began beeping frantically. Whatever's happening, it's affecting the entire ice sheet. These readings suggest movement at depths that should be solid. Lysandra placed her hand against the ice, and suddenly they could all see through her eyes, layers upon layers of frozen history, and beneath it all, something moving. Something vast. What we feared most, she whispered, what we sealed away eons ago, it's awakening too. And without the others, without the full council of guardians, I cannot stop it alone. Naomi looked at her team, seeing the same mix of fear and determination on their faces that she felt herself. Then tell us how to help. Whatever's down there, whatever's coming, Earth is our home. We'll fight for it. Lysandra's expression softened. Such courage. Perhaps that is why the chamber led me to you. She straightened, her form seeming to grow more solid, more present. Very well. But understand, what I'm about to show you will change your perception of reality forever. Are you prepared for that? Before anyone could answer, a deep boom echoed through the ice cavern, like the heartbeat of a giant. The crystalline structure's light pulsed in rhythm with it, and in its facets, they could see reflections of other worlds, other times, all converging on this moment. The time for preparation is over, Lysandra announced, her voice carrying the weight of centuries. Now, we must act. The fate of multiple realities hangs in the balance, and you, children of Earth, have become part of a war that began before your sun first burned. Ancient warnings. The ice cavern had become a nexus of impossible images. Through the crystalline structure's facets, the team watched as entire galaxies spiraled and collapsed, their light caught in an endless dance of creation and destruction. Lysandra stood at the center of it all, her form seeming to shift between solid and ethereal as she manipulated energies beyond human comprehension. In the beginning, she said, her voice resonating with the chamber's harmonics, we believed we were alone in our understanding of the quantum nature of reality. The Asterians had evolved beyond physical limitations, learning to exist in multiple states simultaneously. We thought this made us wise. Her expression darkened. We were wrong. Dr. Yuki Tanaka's instruments were recording everything, though half their readings made no scientific sense. These energy patterns. They're like nothing in our physics models. It's as if the basic laws of thermodynamics simply don't apply. Because they don't, Lysandra explained. Not here, not now. What you consider laws are merely suggestions. Guidelines that can be bent, or broken, by those who understand the true nature of existence. She waved her hand, and the images in the crystal faces shifted to show vast, dark shapes moving between stars. They understood this too well. They are. Benjamin Walsh asked, his xenobiologist's mind trying to categorize what he was seeing. What are we looking at? We called them the Void Weavers, Lysandra said. They exist in the spaces between realities, feeding on possibility itself. Every choice, every decision point in time creates quantum branches, new realities spinning off into infinity. The Void Weavers learn to hunt in these moments of quantum uncertainty, devouring entire timeline branches, erasing possibilities, erasing hope. Marcus Rivera's hands flew across his tablet, trying to map the mathematical implications. You're talking about entropy on a cosmic scale. If these beings consume quantum possibilities, then reality itself begins to break down, Raj finished, his geological perspective suddenly expanding to universal proportions. The multiverse would collapse into a single, unchangeable timeline. Precisely. Lysandra touched the crystal surface, and new images formed, vast machines, elegant and terrible, stretching across the void of space. The Council of Guardians was formed to prevent this. We built the quantum gates, points of stability in the chaos of reality. Each gate anchored billions of timelines, protecting them from collapse. Dr. Naomi Rhodes stepped closer to the crystal, studying the complex mechanisms. And this structure? It's one of these gates. No, Lysandra said softly. This is something far more dangerous. A trap. A prison. She turned to face them, her eyes swirling with colors that shouldn't exist. We discovered that the Void Weavers were not acting randomly. They were being directed, controlled by something ancient. Something that remembered the universe before time itself took shape. The chamber trembled again, and this time the sound that echoed through the ice was distinctly like laughter, deep, cold, and utterly alien. It's here, Lysandra whispered. The first weaver. We couldn't destroy it, it existed before destruction was possible. So we trapped it, sealed it away in a moment of frozen time. And I. She faltered for the first time since awakening, I was left as its jailer. But something went wrong, Naomi said, the pieces falling into place. The other guardians never came back to relieve you. They should have returned centuries ago. Their absence means only one thing, they failed. The Void Weavers found them, consumed them, erased them from existence. Lysandra's form flickered like a candle in the wind. And now the prison is failing. The alignment of realities is providing the energy it needs to break free. Marcus checked his calculations again. How long do we have? Hours, perhaps less. Once it breaks free, it will begin consuming timeline branches again, starting with this one. Your reality will be the first to go, then others, cascading outward until. She gestured at the images of dying galaxies still swirling in the crystal. Dr. Walsh ran his hands through his hair in frustration. What can we possibly do against something like that? We're talking about a being that existed before time itself. That, Lysandra said, a hint of hope entering her voice, is precisely why you might be able to help. Your species is young, your timeline fresh and full of possibilities. You see reality in ways we had forgotten. Ways the first weaver cannot predict. The laughter came again, closer now, and in the depths of the ice, something shifted. Ancient chains of quantum probability began to strain and snap. The prison's outer barriers are failing, Lysandra announced, her form becoming more solid as she gathered her power. We have one chance, only one. If we can't reinforce the seals before the final barrier breaks. She looked at each team member in turn. Are you willing to risk everything? Your past, your future, your very existence. Naomi glanced at her team, seeing the same determination she felt reflected in their faces. They had come to the ice field seeking knowledge, hoping to unlock the mysteries buried in the ancient ice. Instead, they had found themselves on the front lines of a war for reality itself. We're with you, she said firmly. Tell us what we need to do. Lysandra nodded, and for a moment, her form blazed with inner light. Then let us begin. The fate of all possible worlds depends on what we do in the next few hours. The final barrier. The crystalline structure had become a maelstrom of energy, its facets blazing with light as reality itself began to tear at the edges. Dr. Naomi Rhodes watched as Lysandra manipulated streams of quantum energy, her movements precise and desperate as she fought to maintain the failing prison barriers. The containment field is destabilizing faster than I can repair it, Lysandra said, her voice strained. The first weaver has grown stronger during its imprisonment, feeding on the potential energies that leak through the quantum seals. Dr. Yuki Tanaka's instruments were detecting patterns in the chaos. These energy signatures, they're fractal in nature. Each breakdown creates a cascade effect, amplifying the next failure. Like a quantum domino effect, Marcus Rivera added, his fingers flying across multiple screens. But if we could reverse the polarity of the cascade. Lysandra's eyes widened. Yes, yes. Your primitive understanding might be exactly what we need. The first weaver expects complexity, it feeds on it. But simplicity. She turned to Naomi. Your team must help me rebuild the containment field, not as my people did, but as yours would. A bone-chilling laugh echoed through the chamber, and this time words formed in their minds, such delicious desperation. Your new allies are but children, Lysandra. They cannot comprehend what I am. Dar. Benjamin Walsh shuddered at the alien presence in his thoughts, but kept his scientific focus. It's trying to intimidate us. That means it sees us as a threat. Or it's just toying with us, Raj countered, though his hands remained steady as he adjusted their equipment. Either way, we need a plan. Naomi stepped forward. Lysandra, you said your people built this prison using quantum mechanics beyond our understanding. But what if that's the problem? What if we need to think simpler, more human? The chamber shuddered as another barrier failed. Through the crystal walls, they could see something moving in the spaces between spaces, a darkness that made the void of space look bright in comparison. Explain, Lysandra demanded, her form flickering as she maintained what remained of the containment field. Basic physics, Naomi said, her mind racing. Every action has an equal and opposite reaction. The first weaver feeds on complexity, on quantum uncertainty. So what if we did the opposite? What if we created a field of absolute certainty? Marcus caught on immediately. A quantum null field? That's brilliant. If we could generate a space where quantum superposition is impossible. It would be like trying to drink from an empty cup, Yuki finished, already modifying their equipment. The first weaver wouldn't be able to feed on possibilities because there would be only one possibility. Foolish creatures, the voice boomed in their minds. I existed before possibility itself. Your simple solutions cannot contain me. But Lysandra's expression had changed from desperation to hope. No. They might be right. My people tried to match your complexity, to outthink you. We never considered. Sometimes the simplest solution is the best one, Raj said, setting up their modified equipment. Basic geological principles, pressure and containment don't need to be complicated to be effective. The team worked with frantic precision. Marcus and Yuki reprogrammed their quantum sensors to generate a null field, while Raj and Benjamin adapted their other equipment to amplify the effect. Naomi coordinated their efforts, making sure each piece fit into their improvised plan. Lysandra watched them with growing amazement. Your species, you think so differently. So directly. The first weaver has never encountered minds like yours. The darkness between realities pressed closer, and now they could almost see its form, a writhing mass of possibilities that shouldn't exist, each movement leaving tears in the fabric of space-time. Now, Lysandra commanded as the final original barrier began to fail. The team activated their modified equipment simultaneously. The effect was immediate and stunning. A wave of pure certainty radiated outward from their devices. Where it touched the crystal walls, the swirling quantum possibilities settled into single, definite states. The first weaver's laughter turned to something else, confusion, then concern. What is this? The ancient entity's voice lost its confidence. The possibilities, they're gone. How can they be gone? Because we're making them gone, Naomi said firmly. No quantum uncertainty. No branching timelines. Just here, just now, just this. The first weaver tried to retreat, but the null field had created a space it couldn't escape. For the first time in its unfathomable existence, it was trapped not by complex quantum mechanics, but by the simple absence of its food source. Lysandra moved quickly, her hands weaving new patterns of energy. The containment field it's stabilizing. Your null field is creating a foundation I can build upon. Her eyes blazed with renewed purpose. We can make this permanent. But as they worked to strengthen the new containment system, a warning tone sounded from Marcus's equipment. Energy readings are spiking. The null field is drawing power from somewhere else. No, Lysandra gasped. Not somewhere else, someone else. The first weaver is trying to break free by consuming the past. They could feel it now, a pull on their own timelines, their own histories beginning to unravel as the ancient entity fought against its new prison with the only weapon it had left, time itself. Breaking the cycle. Time itself seemed to fragment around them. Dr. Naomi Rhodes watched in horror as ghostly images of her past flickered through the chamber, herself as a child, as a student, as a young scientist. Similar echoes surrounded each member of her team, their histories being pulled apart by the First Weaver's desperate attempt to escape. If it consumes our past timelines, Lysandra warned, her form fluctuating between solid and ethereal, you won't simply die. You will never have existed. Dr. Yuki Tanaka's hands flew across her instruments, which were struggling to maintain the null field. The temporal feedback is increasing exponentially. We can't hold it much longer. Release ME, the First Weaver's voice thundered in their minds, and I will spare your histories. Continue this foolishness, and I will ensure your species never evolves beyond single-celled organisms. Marcus Rivera laughed despite the situation, though his voice was strained. Nice try, but we've seen what you do to timelines. The moment you're free, you'll erase us anyway. Raja's equipment sparked as another temporal surge hit. We need a solution fast. The null field is creating a paradox, it's too stable in an unstable system. Dr. Benjamin Walsh suddenly straightened, his eyes wide. That's it. The paradox itself is the answer. He turned to Lysandra. You said your people tried to match its complexity, but what if we embrace the contradiction instead? Lysandra's color-shifting eyes narrowed. Explain. It's consuming our past to escape the present, Benjamin said quickly, but what if we offered it our future instead? Our future? Naomi asked, but even as she spoke, she began to understand. A controlled temporal collapse. Exactly, Benjamin continued. We're trying to maintain stability, but what if we deliberately destabilize everything? Create a temporal feedback loop that feeds on itself. Lysandra's expression shifted from confusion to dawning comprehension. Yes, yes. The First Weaver feeds on possibility, but it cannot process paradox. A loop of perpetual temporal collapse would trap it in an endless cycle, Yuki finished, already modifying their equipment. It would constantly be consuming its own consumption. The First Weaver's presence pressed against their minds, heavier now, tinged with something they hadn't felt before, uncertainty. We need to invert the null field, Marcus said, his fingers dancing across controls. Instead of eliminating possibilities, we'll multiply them exponentially, but only within the containment area. Stop. The ancient entity's voice held real fear now. You do not understand the forces you manipulate. Actually, Naomi said, a grim smile on her face, I think we understand perfectly. You exist to consume possibility. So let's give you all the possibility you can handle. The team worked with desperate precision, reconfiguring their equipment while Lysandra wove her ancient energies into their modern technology. The crystalline chamber began to pulse with a new rhythm, no longer fighting the temporal distortions but amplifying them within a controlled space. Ready, Yuki announced, her hand hovering over the final control. Now. Lysandra commanded. They activated the inverted field. The effect was immediate and spectacular. The chamber filled with an infinite cascade of possibilities, each one feeding back into itself, creating and recreating reality in an endless loop. The First Weaver's form became visible in the chaos, a vast, writhing mass of quantum potential, trying desperately to escape the paradox trap. No. This is not possible. I am possibility. Exactly, Lysandra said softly. And now you are trapped by your own nature. The entity thrashed in a temporal loop, consuming possibilities only to create new ones, feeding on itself in an eternal cycle. The chamber walls stabilized, no longer straining against the pressure of contained reality but working with it, channeling the paradox into a self-sustaining prison. Slowly, the temporal echoes of their pasts faded. The immediate crisis was over, but Naomi could see in Lyssandra's eyes that their victory had come with a price. The paradox trap will hold, Lysandra said, her form becoming more solid as reality settled. But it requires attention. A guardian. You're staying, Naomi realized. Not because you have to, but because you choose to. Lysandra smiled, and for the first time, it reached her eyes. Your species surprised me. You faced concepts beyond your understanding, and instead of retreating, you found new ways to think about them. The first weaver never stood a chance against such beautiful simplicity. What happens now? Raj asked, looking at the swirling energies that now contained one of the universe's most ancient entities. Now, Lysandra said, you continue to grow, to explore, to surprise the universe with your unique way of seeing things. And I. She touched the chamber wall gently, I will ensure that you have the time to do so. As the team prepared to return to the surface, carrying with them knowledge that would change humanity's understanding of reality forever, Lysandra's voice echoed in their minds one last time. You came seeking what was frozen in time, but you found something far more valuable, proof that the youngest species can sometimes teach the oldest beings the most important lessons. Go now, children of Earth. Your future is waiting, and thanks to you, it holds more possibilities than ever before.